Hey everybody, Tim Buckley here with you. It's about 6:25. We're here on Friday evening. A lot of us are waiting, watching, wondering, where's the snow? When's it going to come in? It's starting to happen closer to the Virginia border. Throughout the week we've been mentioning the possibility of snowfall, and now the likelihood of some snowfall. This is not going to be a major snowstorm. We've been kind of advertising 1 to 2 inches for most of us, and that still looks to be holding true for our area. So what are we going to see? Where are we going to see it? What's the time frame? I'm here to help you out on that. I'm starting to get some information now from some of our viewers, especially in places like Stokes County and Surrey County, that it's already snowing there. So that's even a little ahead of schedule, which is good to hear. We always like to know that things are going according to plan. So even if you're not seeing rain right now, you're not seeing snow, you're not seeing anything, don't freak out, don't panic. It is natural to kind of think, oh wait, maybe this isn't going to happen. It takes a little while, and what we've been seeing so far today is a good amount of dry air, also a good amount, well, really that dry air is the main thing. It's delaying the start. So when you look on the radar and you say, wait, something should be happening, and it's just not reaching the ground, that's just because of that dry air evaporating the snowflakes and the raindrops before they're hitting the surface. So welcome to the chat. I have a bunch of people watching here, so I'll do my best to kind of answer all of your questions and scroll through a lot of these comments. This is about 380 people, about 400 people. So I'll do my best to go through, but what I'm going to do first, I'm going to kind of give a big forecast. So over the next 4, 5, 6 minutes, I'm going to talk a lot, try and spit out as much information as I can and make sure I cover all the bases. Then I'll start to swing back and look at some of your different questions. Okay, so don't worry if I'm not looking too much at them right now. I have all the time in the world tonight. We can keep this going 20, 30 minutes if need be. One thing that is helpful to me when we do a live chat back and forth like this, we like to see and hear what you are seeing. And the reason for that is quite simply, the radar doesn't tell me the full story right now. So as we look at it snowing in Boone, the radar doesn't tell me the full story. What's helpful for me is to get information from you. It's very good when I know, yes, I'm seeing rain, yes, I'm seeing snow, it's starting to mix, and give your location. So if you can give me some of those reports as we keep this chat going, that'll be super helpful, and I think it'll help the folks who are listening along and commenting along with you as well. We are looking live at Boone, North Carolina right now. Obviously, we don't live in Boone here in the Triad, but it's not that far away, and it's sort of a sign that, yes, indeed, there is a storm system. There is a snow system, and in just the last couple of hours, I've noticed some differences on this camera. So at this time, it kind of moves around and zooms here or there. Around 5 o'clock, it was snowing, but it took a while for anything to start to accumulate on anything. Now there's plenty of accumulation on the elevated surfaces, but the roadways have started to get it too. Temperature's been warm today, even in the mountains, so it's been above freezing most of the time. So the road surfaces today, like compare it to last week, it's going to take maybe an hour or two, even if you have good snowfall, it's going to take an hour or two before it starts to stick to the roads. Last week, everything stuck immediately and things went from nothing to bad really quickly. We have a little bit more of a buffer this time, and that might help you if you start to get caught in a bad situation late tonight on the roads. I think you have a little bit of a buffer before the roads go from wet to slushy to snowy, okay? So that'll help us out a little bit. Bottom line, all of us have a winter weather advisory. What does that mean? Well, this purple shade is that advisory, and what the Weather Service is doing here is they're saying, yes, winter weather is likely to happen. We're likely to have some snowfall. It's probably going to be on the order of 1 to 2 inches in many areas, not everybody, and that's enough to alert you and make you know, hey, the roads are probably going to be bad. This is not so good for us in our area as far as driving around and doing our daily business. So that's what the winter weather advisory does. A winter storm warning has specific criteria attached to it. That's usually only issued if we're expecting 4 inches of snow, which we are not. In this situation, there's not a ton of moisture to work with. There's not a lot of wet weather to go around. So it's going to be more scattered. It's going to be more spotty, and even if we get that snow for several hours, it's probably still only going to amount to about 1 to 2 inches. So winter weather advisory, there you have it. And that was issued for today. I'm going to start big and then go small. So we'll look at the system on the whole first. If we widen out here, you might have heard a lot of the news coverage about the big blizzard that's going to be happening in New England and the Northeast, and you'll see a lot about it tomorrow. It's going to be an incredible storm. This is just starting to get going. So that storm is actually getting born right here in North Carolina. You can see this swirling motion that's going to go up the East Coast and make for a really big storm with hurricane gust winds, very, very low pressure, very impressive snowfall. And that's for the Northeast. So that's the part of the storm that will get the headlines. We are getting a different part of the storm. We're getting this part that moves in from the northwest on this side. We call it an upper level trough. And what that really is an area of low pressure that's swirling closer to us. And I'm going to show you something here that you might see us use on the news from time to time, but maybe you don't quite understand exactly what we're showing. This is called the water vapor image. And what we're using here is we're taking a satellite, we're having it look at a specific layer of the atmosphere in the middle of the atmosphere, not at the ground, not way up high, it's in the middle. And we actually are able to see and sense how water vapor is moving through the sky. It's not clouds, it's not rain, it's water vapor. So bottom line, what we're able to do here is oftentimes kind of like an X-ray, like when you go to the doctor, you get an X-ray of yourself. With the water vapor image, we can usually see some hidden motions that we can't otherwise notice, and they tell us a lot about the atmosphere. What I'm seeing, and this was expected, is a swirling motion, an area of low pressure right here. Well, this is our trough that's kind of pinwheeling through Kentucky and also in Tennessee. That's going to be pivoting into our area. So we're just getting going with the storm right now, but as that pivots our way tonight, that is really actually going to intensify any precipitation that we have. And it's going to make it easier for that to fall as snow rather than rain. It's also going to make a possibility that it's cooling so quickly in the atmosphere, we might even get some rumbles of thunder. You might have heard of thunder snow before. You might have experienced it. It's just regular snow, but there's thunder involved. And that could happen with that low later on tonight. It won't be here until about 11 or 12 in the overnight hours. So this is not something that's happening right now. All right, here's where you come in. In the comments, you can tell me what you're seeing. We have seen a lot of this being gobbled up by dry air so far. So here in Greensboro, for example, I just stuck my head outside in our weather garden, still not finding any raindrops just yet. But if we look here, you'll notice there's some differences, right? So if we look, temperatures in the 30s to the north, 40s to the south, really just depends on where you are to what you're seeing. But it looks like we're finally starting to fill things in. Where it has already been raining, your temperature has already dropped several degrees. So we're in the low 30s to the north, it's snowing in Martinsville, 30s in Reedsville and Winston-Salem. Greensboro still in the 40s, but that's going to change very quickly when we start to get that rain to the ground. You're also noticing dew points, which were very low, very dry air to the south. They're getting more moist, more saturated. The air is getting saturated, and that's the process which really delays that onset of precipitation. So, how much snow are you going to get? When's it going to happen? All that stuff. Let's get to the answers here. This is our futurecast, which is just an estimate. We use a computer model to help us forecast. This is not gospel. It's guidance, and we use it as a guide, certainly. Here's what it's showing us. All along throughout the week, we've said between about 7, 8, and 9 o'clock is when rain could change over to snow. That's still consistent here, and that's kind of what I've been seeing. I already have reports of snow flying in Stokes and in Surrey counties, and it shouldn't really be all that long before it starts to happen in the Triad as well. So if you want to be safe, on the very cautious side, I would probably be home by 8 o'clock in the Triad. If you want to avoid any threat of snowfall, 8 o'clock would be a safe option. 10 o'clock is probably, you're probably good, not 100% certain, but probably good by 10. If you're out by around midnight, you're on your own, and you could be driving on snow-covered roads, and hopefully you're comfortable with that. Here's 9 o'clock. We see these snow showers, and they really are snow showers. They're scattered. They're almost like some downpours and some lighter ones in the summertime where some people get more than others. And that's going to make for an uneven totals map by the end of this. But it does continue for a while. So we have 8, 10, midnight, 2, and 4 a.m. as well. Our model cuts out there for us for a time, but it should be winding down by around 4 in the morning, and that's when things will start to well, they'll just stop, but it'll still be snowy on the roads. So the timeline looks like this, and I'll leave this up there for a little bit. Around 8 o'clock is when most of us can expect some snow to start flying in much of the Triad, and we start to see that changing to heavier snow at times closer to midnight, and then by 4 to 6 or so is when it winds down, and it's all ending at that point. All right, that's the timeline. How much you going to get? Well, in general, the mountains are going to get, 2 to 4 inches or so, maybe even up to 6 in some areas. In much of the Triad, we are looking at 1 to 2. That's kind of an average, about 1 inch to 2 inches in most of the Triad cities. Could there be a heavier total here or there of 3 inches? That's certainly possible, but I don't know exactly where that'll be. Just like I was saying before, we're going to have these little downpourish areas. So maybe those heavier spots are right here, maybe they're over there, north, south, east, or west. It's kind of like pinpointing a summer downpour or a thunderstorm. So I'm not exactly sure where those heavier spots would be, but they could happen. We'll also have the flip side of that where you have some little holes here and there where you won't get quite as much. But the average is about 1 to 2. Most of us will see that 1 to 2. Some of us could see a little more. Some of us could see a little less. Bottom line, roads will be getting slick and possibly snow covered later on tonight. Around 8 to 10 o'clock is probably when that happens, maybe a little bit later. But if you want to be safe, use that earlier time frame. Going into tomorrow, the biggest question is always, when are the roads going to improve? A lot of that has to do with the road crews and what they're choosing to do. A lot of them say they don't plow when there's not 2 inches on the ground. So if you don't have 2 inches, they might not be helping you out that much. And they say it's unsafe for the roads, is what they tell us. Doesn't help you get around town. I'll put it that way. So hopefully we can clear them off. But sunshine will help us. This will be a fluffy snow. Sunshine will help to melt it, even though it's cold all day tomorrow. The sunny spots should be clearing up pretty nicely. The shady areas won't melt much at all because it's cold. We're going to be cold all day long tomorrow, so those road conditions are likely to be an issue for a while. We've had a lot of high wind and heavy winds in the last couple of storms. This one is somewhat similar. We'll see those gusty conditions continue for a little while. So that's what we're looking at. 25 to 35 mile per hour gusts are possible for tomorrow. So I'm going to go back to the radar, I guess. Well, actually, let me put the timeline on here. I think that's more helpful right now. I'll leave the timeline up, and I've talked for a long time. I need to go see what you're saying and scroll through some of your comments. So be patient. I'm going to go through these and see what you have to tell me in your reports in our area. Seems like Alexander has some light rain at PTI area. A lot of people want a foot of snow. Yeah, there is a chance of thunder snow, Metap. I can't guarantee it. It'll be very localized if it happens, but you could have a rumble of thunder. A lot of people in Greensboro saying no rain yet, but it just depends on where you are, what part of town, so that's going to be changing. Here's a report. This is Surrey County, J.W. York. He's up there in the Low Gap community right off Highway 18. He's got some snow, and it's sticking to the road, so keep that in mind, all right? That's in northwest Surrey. Teresa has 37 degrees and some rain in Ruffin right now. And that's the thing, too. When it starts to rain, the temperature's going to drop like a rock really, really quickly. Barbara Ann has some snow in Dobson. And Sarah has some rain in Reedsville. Thanks for those reports, everybody. Kelly has some rain in Northeast Greensboro. That means I probably have the same thing. Lori, I have no clue if we're going to get more snow that next weekend. I honestly, when we have a winter threat, I devote about 100% of my waking energy to that threat, and everything else comes way, way after. So I'm just not sure at this point. As of right now, I don't see another major concern in our future, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Other questions here. Let's see. Pam has some drizzle in Reedsville. The ground is covered on the backside of Hanging Rock. Tamarica says she has the ground covered already. That would be some snow up there. Mika, don't go to work at 7 in the morning. Well, you know, I'm never going to tell you what to do. My job is to tell you what the weather is and what it's going to be. But I'm expecting tomorrow morning, most of us are waking up to an inch or two of snowfall. So it's up to you. It's also up to your boss and things like that, how understanding they are. Some people have jobs, they have to go to work. But my job is to let you know, I think the roads will be tough, snow covered, slick, icy. Temperatures will be in the 20s tomorrow morning. It's going to be a tough go early on your Saturday. Snowing in Boonville, says Jonathan. That's over in parts of Yadkin County. Chris, I agree with you. It's a windy, cold Saturday for sure. Dawn has drizzle in Kernersville over at K Vegas as well. Bethany community of Rockingham has some drizzle right now. Seems like this is actually not taking very long to change over from rain to snow. Seems like places when you start to see the rain, it might only be an hour or less that you start to see that snow changing over. Jameson has rain in Reedsville. And some people are saying they want it to do nothing. Sean wants it to snow every week. Okay. Melody, most of the day tomorrow, we're going to have wind gusts of 25 to 30 miles per hour. Yes. Sorry, Lori, I just can't help you yet. Check back later on. Apologies. How bad is it going to be at 8 o'clock? Is that 8 p.m. or 8 a.m., Mina? So tomorrow morning, we're going to see probably some snowy roads at that point. So at that point, it's pretty bad. 8 p.m. tonight, the roads are probably still wet, I would say, even if it starts to snow. There's a look at your Saturday. Sarah has rain in downtown Greensboro. Yeah, Brittany, it's going to snow pretty much in most of North Carolina, even at parts of the coast. Sandra, you know, thunder in the wintertime, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is really not the spirit of the rule. If it's happening when it's cold already, it usually works better when it's warm, and you can expect a big shift in the weather pattern around that. How quick will it melt tomorrow? What time will the roads be good? I don't know. So sunny roadways should improve pretty well, but the shady ones won't that much because it's still cold outside. All right. So it just depends from place to place. I am really not the road expert. The DOT is going to have a job to do, whether they do that with salt or whether they do that with the plows down. I'm not so sure. I can't always predict their choices, but I think about an inch or two of snow is pretty likely for most of us. Some of us get up to 3, so that's going to, take some time. We've been through this. So if you think back to last weekend, what were your roads like then? Most of us got between 1 and 3 and 4 inches of snow. How were the roads? Were they bad? Were they okay? How long did it take them to improve? It'll be pretty similar to that. Again, our main energy for this system is still over Tennessee, so we have a ways to go. We're really on the hook for some snow potential all the way through about 4 in the morning. Here's a live look at Boone yet again. Always a fun spot to look at when winter is happening. Yeah, Bridget, we're definitely getting all 4 seasons this year, that's for sure. And not out of the roads yet, like you said, that's true. Molly, best guess who might get 3? Okay, you're going to put me on the spot. This has been a common question. So, it's really like pinpointing these heavier bands. I will tell you that sort of the consensus, and honestly, if gun to my head, I don't think anybody will get 4 inches. But 3 inches or so could maybe happen, somewhere in this general region. Right here, like in between those two lines, but I don't have good confidence in that. I wouldn't feel confident. If I was confident enough in it, I would put it down on the map, but I just can't do that yet. If you want to see some heavy snow, this is on my Twitter feed. Is that coming through? Apologies for the big light and everything. But that's happening right now in Pilot Mountain. Pretty good snowfall at Kyler's house. You can see his deck is already covered, so it wouldn't take all that long to get a half an inch to an inch out of that very shortly. And it looks like it's really heavy too. It's almost coming down like rain, even though it's snow. So pretty impressive stuff. And there's kind of a range of emotions when you have an event like this. The first thing is like, oh gosh, is it really going to do anything? I know I've talked about it all week, but is it really going to happen? And then it starts to happen. Then you're like, yeah, of course. This is kind of what we've been talking about. The radar is spotty, though. Let me switch to a higher resolution mode. It doesn't look as pretty, but it allows me to see some more detail. So we have these little heavier bands, and this is not color-coded for precipitation. But see how we have these gaps? So when you have a heavier gap, so like that video I just showed you is from Pilot Mountain, we're looking really Siloam also. This is kind of where he is. That's Kyler. He's in this area. So when you have these heavier bursts, and someone in the chat, I forget who, said that it was snowing pretty well in Booneville. Well, Booneville is close to here also. in parts of Yadkin County. So when you get those heavier little bursts, you're going to get better chances of snow. And we're going to have that chance, that opportunity, really all the way through the nighttime. If we widen things out again, you'll see we have a ways to go here. I am not sharing with you my screen, sorry. Let me put it back. There you go. Now you can see it. I know the map isn't up, I'm sorry. Lenore could see around an inch, not a ton. Unless you're on the higher elevations, then you could see a little bit more. Total amount of snow last weekend. It depends on where you were. Some people had 2 to 4. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure where you live. You probably know better than me how much you got. But PZI got an inch. Montgomery County had like 3 to 4 inches. So farther south and east last weekend had more. Farther north and west, not so much. Other questions? Jennifer asks a very common question. I get this all the time. Is there a chance it may snow more than you're predicting? Yes, that is a chance. If I thought it was a good chance, I would forecast more snow. So we always forecast what we think is most likely, but certainly we're not God. We don't profess to be. There's always a chance it could be a little higher or a little lower. That's always a possibility. But we always put forth the forecast that we think has the best chance of being right. We want to be right. We really like being right. And most of the time we are, not all the time. But we like to be correct. And so that's kind of what we do our forecast based on. Back to Boone, here we go. There's your snow sticking to the roadways up there. Had some more reports from Low Gap in Surrey County that there was some snow sticking on the roads in the higher elevations. Downtown Greensboro camera right now, it does look like rain is dotting it at the moment. So we're seeing some light showers there. High Point may be a similar situation, but obviously it's not a winter situation right now in the Triad. Temperatures and dew points have been something to follow. We've been looking at very dry air with these low dew point numbers. That'll change. That'll be changing pretty quickly because we're noticing a very sharp temperature drop, and that changeover from rain to snow is happening pretty fast. So after 8 o'clock, it's really game on for most people in the Triad, especially once you get closer to 10 at midnight. That's when we really should be looking at a lot of this going on. All right. Other questions? Otherwise, I'm probably going to let this go pretty shortly. And we'll do this more later on tonight. One more look at the graphics. So here's your snow map. Most of us get 1 to 2. Chuck is giving me a hard time. Melody, Randolph County had 2 to 3 inches of snow last weekend, I believe, depending on the part of your county. So Sandy Ridge up in Stokes County, already the yard is white. Already a good accumulation there. Good to hear it. Tamarica has the same idea right there near Hanging Rock State Park. And Toya has some rainfall in Greensboro. Again, one more look at things. There's your timeline. Mostly snow for us between 8 p.m. and around 4 a.m. when it tapers off. Then it'll be ending. And then looking at tomorrow, the biggest question, when are the roads going to get better? No matter how much snow you have, you won't want to be stuck inside the house. But you might be. You might be for a little while. It all depends on your comfort level driving in this junk. But it's usually a good idea to not overdo it, not overestimate your abilities, and not underestimate the snow's abilities to get you stuck and get you in places and situations you don't want to be in. So I know nothing I say is going to change anybody's mind or opinion, but be careful. That's all I'll say. Be careful. That's what I got for you right now. Take care. Have a good night. I'll have more updates for you. Probably closer to 9, 10 o'clock, I'll come back here and we can chat some more. And at that point, a lot of us should be seeing that snowfall happening. So be good. See you later. Have a nice Friday evening. It is our weekly snow chance, snow event. How about it? Bye.